4 members of the radical group, the Flag Smashers, were killed today in a car bomb attack as they were being transferred to a high-security prison. There were no suspects in the bombing.
Hey, Walker, check your phone. Looks like our friend Zemo kind of got the last laugh. Couldn't have worked better if I'd planned it myself.
Oh, well, maybe I did.
Yeah? Well,
Yeah.
things are about to get weird. We're not gonna need a Captain America. We're gonna need a U.S. agent.
That's great.
Keep your phone on.
Back!
The Carter name has always been synonymous with service and trust, and we'd like to offer you a full pardon. There may be an opening in your old division. Welcome home, Agent Carter.
Start lining up our buyers. Super soldiers might be off the menu, but we're about to have full access to government secrets, prototype weapons, you name it.
Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be my Falcon and Winter Soldier Episode 6 finale post-credit scene video. Also got some news about a big Captain America movie that they just announced. Captain America 4 is actually happening now with Falcon's version of Captain America. Obviously, the post-credit scenes are meant to tease what's happening next in the Marvel series, in the Marvel movies, so we'll break it all down. There's a whole bunch of Easter eggs here, and the producers, people like Kevin Feige, have been clarifying what's actually going on behind the scenes, so I'll add that to the video as well. But if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the Marvel Disney Plus episodes. I'll be doing videos for all the Marvel series that are happening this year, also the Marvel movies as well. Loki is going to be the next big series to premiere in a little while, so be sure to subscribe to get those. Careful for spoilers for everything that happened during Falcon and Winter Soldier. Obviously, if you haven't seen the episodes yet, I'm assuming most of you have by now. But it all starts with Baron Zemo on the raft, chilling out in his cell, reading Russian-German literature, villainous man of culture, listening and smiling, hearing that his contingency plan to get rid of the Flag Smasher super soldiers was successful. Everyone press F in the chat to pay respects to the Flag Smashers. Zemo is kind of like an evil version of Batman in the MCU now, so it would make sense that he has an evil version of Alfred as well. But obviously he's sitting there in the raft indefinitely, and that's basically where Thunderbolt Ross's home base is now, where they would find other characters that are suitable for future Thunderbolts and Dark Avengers stuff. So in addition to teasing the future of Zemo, they're also sort of crossing this over with what's happening in the other different post-credit scenes as well. Also, thank you very much to the people who were able to translate Russian and German titles, because the books that he's reading there, they're not meant to be really huge teasers or major Easter eggs or anything like that. Like, this book is Alexander Pushkin. He was one of Russia's most famous poets who wrote a bunch of books during the Romantic era of literature that served as commentary for events that were going on in real-world Russia history at the time. There were a lot of peasant revolts, a lot of rich people meeting untimely circumstances, lots of tragedy, lots of love stories, so you could look at him reading those books as a metaphor for the events of his life and recent history with the Flag Smasher uprising. But this other book is from Alexander von Humboldt, who was one of the founders of modern geographical sciences, who also just happened to have an even more famous scientist brother called Wilhelm von Humboldt, who was a scientist serving the King of Prussia at the time. This book is just called Views of Nature, one of the books that he wrote. So Zemo is just a man of culture, just enjoying his time in captivity, until obviously somebody comes along to recruit him for Thunderbolt stuff. But it's not like the books themselves have special titles that they're going to use for the Captain America 4 movie, Armor Wars, the Thunderbolts, or Avengers 5. And obviously, really big news we should say, Captain America 4 was announced right after they dropped the finale on Friday. In fact, they announced it right after I posted my finale video, so I wish they would have announced it just a couple hours earlier. I would have included it in that video. But they are doing a Falcon Captain America movie. The showrunner from Falcon and Winter Soldier, Malcolm Spellman, is coming back to develop it, but they just announced that it was in development, so it'll be at least 2 years bare minimum before we see that movie, maybe even 3 years, depending on how fast they figure the story out, as well as lock down which other big Avengers characters they want to use during that. Like, the last Captain America movie they did was Civil War, so how do you do an even bigger Captain America movie with a new version of Captain America than that? So there's probably going to be a whole bunch of big Avengers level stuff happening in it. I'll do more videos about that when we get more information. But it should go without saying that in addition to the post-credit scenes, the stuff that they're teasing, all the ending scenes for the characters in the Falcon and Winter Soldier finale, I think that all the major characters that survive, like Winter Soldier, Zemo, Val, Madam Hydra, whatever you want to call her, Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character, John Walker, U.S. Agent, Sharon Carter, Power Broker, all of them will be coming back in Captain America 4, but some of them will come back sooner than that in other Marvel Disney Plus series. So while normally I would be talking about them setting stuff up in the Falcon and Winter Soldier finale for Season 2, because Kevin Feige, Anthony Mackie, Sebastian Stan have all been talking about doing a Season 2 now, I think the Captain America 4 movie will effectively be the story of what Season 2 would have been had they not done the movie. Then if they actually do a legit Season 2 after that, they'll just call it Captain America and the Winter Soldier instead of calling it Falcon and Winter Soldier Season 2. So if they do Season 2, probably not going to be for like another 3, maybe even 4 years. But that's also what the post-credit scene title card is for, the special title, Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Some of you in the comments on my finale video were also confused because you said you saw a title card that said Captain America and the White Wolf will return. Like the title cards that they put at the end of some Marvel movies saying so-and-so character will return. Like at the end of Avengers Infinity War, it said Thanos will return, which was a reference to Avengers Endgame. Well, if you did see a White Wolf title card, then the chances are you were probably watching a fan-edited video, and they just added that to the video. There were a lot of those just because the Marvel stuff is so popular. The credits from the actual episode don't have any kind of White Wolf will return type of statement in the credits. It's only the Wakandans that call him that. The whole John Walker scene, obviously, is there to explain what's happening with him next in the MCU, becoming the U.S. agent character from the comics. Most of us, like early on in my videos for the series before the episodes drop, when we were just getting the trailers, I was actually already referring to him as U.S. agent just because that's what I think of him when I think of John Walker. But clearly they were trying to evolve him into that version of the character through the series. That's what the joke about the black costume is. Like, it's the same thing, only black, because his U.S. agent costume in the comics is black. He still uses a Captain America shield, it just has U.S. in the middle instead of the Captain America star. And he's not really evil, he's just more of an anti-hero, and that's basically what they're implying here. He's going to be doing some shady stuff for Val. But he is still on the government's payroll, like he's not being locked up in prison or anything like that. That was the whole idea with him trying to redeem himself during the finale. When it comes to the Val character, though, the showrunner said that they created her on the show to be a darker version of Nick Fury, implying that they have much bigger plans for her in the future, because why would you create a new Nick Fury character and then only use them once? So I think her talking about all this stuff, setting this big team up in the background, is mostly a teaser for Thunderbolts, potentially also Dark Avengers related stuff that they'll probably weave into the future MCU projects in the next 5 years, between the movies like Captain America 4 and the Marvel Disney Plus series. Like she says, things are about to get very weird and they're going to need a quote-unquote U.S. agent. They won't need Captain America because things are going to get really shady. She'll be running all these black ops in the background with morally questionable anti-hero characters slowly assembling her roster that would eventually become the Thunderbolts. And because Nick Fury is this character that has ties to everything that happens in the MCU through the Infinity Saga, and obviously he's still alive, so he's still connected to all this stuff in the background, Val, being a darker Nick Fury, will also probably have ties to all the major players in the MCU, like Thunderbolt Ross, potentially future big MCU villains that they have yet to introduce. And what they'll probably wind up doing is leaving the bigger A-list Dark Avengers related stuff just for the movies to handle, like the biggest of the big stuff, like Thunderbolt Ross turning into Red Hulk. We've all kind of been thinking about that in the background, expecting it to happen eventually. That would probably be a big twist that they would leave for the movie, maybe even Captain America 4. Hopefully we'll see some Easter eggs during that. Like, what's bigger than Captain America Civil War? Well, they could do some big Dark Avengers stuff in Captain America 4. That would be pretty cool. All the Thunderbolt stuff that they'll probably wind up doing in the future is probably going to be a Marvel Disney Plus series with other villain characters that they don't use in Dark Avengers. Like Baron Zemo will probably wind up leading a version of the Thunderbolts the way he did in the comics. But because he's such a big character and he's like a dark version of Batman in the MCU, I am expecting him to come back at some point during Captain America 4. But getting to the Sharon Carter of it all, because that big Sharon Carter post-credit scene twist is what most of the conversation is about after the finale, truly revealing that she is the power broker and will continue to act as the power broker despite infiltrating the US government and the CIA. A lot of people now taking a look back at what they actually told us about her character during the series, because when you do look at the facts that they gave us just on paper, a lot of what she's doing and what she's said about her actions don't totally make sense, and there are some continuity errors. Which is why I think so many people are asking if she's secretly a Skrull pretending to be Sharon Carter. Like, that would be an easy way for this to all make sense. So I will address the Skrull theory. We do have a Secret Invasion series that they're doing with Nick Fury next year and the Skrulls, so there are a lot of Skrulls in the MCU right now in positions of power that they're going to reveal pretty shortly. They even just announced that Emilia Clarke, Daenerys Targaryen herself from Game of Thrones, joined the series in a major role, but they didn't say who she's playing. Maybe she'll wind up being the Skrull Empress. That would be a pretty cool twist. But the way the producers and Emily Van Camp have been talking about the Sharon Carter power broker twist is that they wanted to take advantage of the fact that her character was kind of pushed to the side in the movies, metaphorically and literally. Like, she was a small player, a small bit part in the goings-on of the Avengers, and then they didn't really feel like bringing her back for Avengers Endgame, like they just didn't have room for her character. So the Falcon and Winter Soldier writers were like, hey, let's make this a bigger thing, and the whole storyline of her feeling like she was betrayed by the government when they pardoned everyone from Civil War but her and Zemo is kind of like the worst offender. They said that they wanted to make her character way more complex, like a more complex spin on her than the simplistic take that the previous movies had given us. So the way the writers said that they justified this was that she felt betrayed by her government, and that caused her to have this radical mental shift where she decided the best way to change the world, to try and take some agency for herself so that people couldn't do that to her again, was to operate as the power broker, who's basically like a glorified black market dealer in weapons and technology. So they wanted to turn her into more of a Zemo type character, or someone like Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character, who aren't really good characters, but not really evil characters either, just doing things in their own best interest. So in the post-credit scene, when she walks away from that pardon and calls up her associate and talks about stealing all this government weapons, technology prototypes to the highest bidder, that's just meant to be one of her random underlings as the power broker, but it's them trying to give her this metaphorical boss-level power upgrade before a new Marvel series and movies so that she can more easily stand her ground against characters like Thunderbolt Ross, the Avengers characters, the same way that Zemo or Val don't actually have special powers, but they wield a lot of metaphorical power, so people aren't able to push them around. So first thing, they make it seem on the series like Sharon Carter did not get snapped and she spent all this time in the 5-year time jump becoming the power broker, developing her power base, and using these Flag Smasher characters as her muscle. But here's the thing that a lot of you spotted. She is shown in the Avengers Endgame footage when they're watching that PowerPoint presentation on all the major characters who got snapped at the beginning of the movie. You do see Sharon Carter's picture here in the background. Falcon and Winter Soldier is meant to take place a couple months after the events of Avengers Endgame, so a lot of people were like, why is she talking to Carly about taking her in on Madripoor under her wing after the snap during this 5-year time jump if she herself had been snapped? She wouldn't have been around then. This is basically where the Skrull theory came from, like maybe this version of Sharon Carter is a Skrull, and that's why it doesn't make sense. But here's the thing with that, a lot of people aren't considering the Spider-Man Homecoming explainer. Remember the big timeline error that they made at the beginning of Spider-Man Homecoming? It said 8 years after the Battle of New York, when really it had only been 5 years because the Battle of New York took place in 2012 and Spider-Man Homecoming takes place during 2017. Kevin Feige and the director John Watts admitted that they kind of made an error and it didn't totally make sense, and said that's kind of why they tried to avoid using very specific dates in the films. So they make errors like this all the time. It's just that people don't always notice them. Remember Jean's guy from The Mandalorian Season 2? That was another type of error. Different error, but an error nonetheless. There were even a couple points during Falcon and Winter Soldier episodes where a lot of you were like, hey, there's a guy standing behind this pylon here in Jean's. Is this just like an extra that they forgot to edit out of this scene? So they even had Jean's guy errors during the Falcon and Winter Soldier episodes as well. Usually what happens with editing errors is that they fix it stealth and just don't tell anyone, so that when you go back and you try to watch the episode, you don't see the error anymore. So I think the whole idea with Sharon Carter is that they wanted to do a much cooler version of her character, and obviously it just kind of broke the timeline a little bit, and they probably just will not address it in future movies. They'll just pretend like it wasn't a thing. So I don't think that she's a Skrull. I think that she'll just wind up being a black market dealer that'll be involved with future Thunderbolt stuff, maybe even potentially the Armor War series that's happening next year. Like she'd be somebody who would help supply people like Justin Hammer or other people that are trying to repurpose Iron Man's armor, because that's basically where the Armor War series comes from. Villains getting their hands on Iron Man's technology and then using it in the worst possible way. So hopefully that explains what's going on with Sharon Carter. Like I said though, I do not think that she's a Skrull. I think it's more of a Spider-Man Homecoming error type of situation. The only other big thing during the post-credit scene, the big change to the credits, was they added Falcon in his Captain America suit. Like, there were tiny little additions that they made to the credit scene in each of the episodes when new information was revealed. But if there are any other big Easter eggs that you spotted in the ending scenes or the post-credit scenes that I didn't mention in the video, just write them below in the comments. And I will start doing more Loki videos really soon, too. We'll get some more trailers for Loki pretty soon. While you wait for everything, click here for my full Falcon and Winter Soldier Episode 6 finale video, and click here for my brand new Shang-Chi trailer video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys tonight.